Episode number 3, we're here again. But real quick, wanted to get into, before we get started in the topics, wanted to ask Brad how his weekend went at Farmington. I had kind of planned on going, and then plans kind of changed. But what was your weekend like? Tell us about it.
Well, Saturday was very stressful because everything was showing it was going to rain. And so I waited till about the last minute to leave the house, which is probably about 1 o'clock or so. So then we had to haul ass up there, had to stop by Peanuts, drop the wing off that we rebuilt for him, drop that off, had to do a little bit of work to get on the car to get it ready. So we just had to unload it and put the wheel on. And I mean, the track's here and the rain is here, and it just stopped and it never got any further. We just drove all the way to the racetrack and hope it didn't rain. Well, it didn't rain, but I wish it would have rained because the track could have used about 3 inches of rain. So anyways, hot laps, pretty good. The track on one end had some moisture in it. The other end was super slick. I was like, well, maybe we'll have a racetrack tonight. Yeah. By the time we got there for the heat race, it was gone. Started on the pole of the heat. Motor didn't take off real well. Went to the first corner, bombed the first corner, slid up, fell back to third, ended up finishing third. Started 7th in the feature, fell back to 9th, ended up finishing 4th. The track took rubber about 3 laps in. So, I mean, overall,
well, how'd you make it back through if it took rubber?
Well, the couple of them missed the corner early on, so I was able to pick a couple off, and we rode forever. At the last 3 laps, I was in 6th, and 5th place went to go past a lap car up on the high side. I just drove under them. And about a lap later, the leader actually spun out, so then I got into 4th. So, I mean, other than that, we smoked both rear tires. When I say smoked them, there was nothing left. It was ball.
Were they new when you started?
Well, mostly they were really good shape, and they weren't brand new. They were really good shape, and so
I meant to show you this, and I might could pull it up. But Jerry Russell, he builds JR1 chassis.
Yeah, that's what ours look like.
He posted this picture. Let me pull it up. That way Bo can see it. So what's happened to that place? Because like the last couple years that I've gone, it's been really good racing. The track's I never noticed that it tore our tires up or anything like that. That's what the tire looked like. That was Steven's right rear tire after the feature.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
it was gone.
It was smoked, and like I don't know, because like I said, we went over there last year for the Queens Royal. I went back a couple weeks later, and the track was really racy. I mean, it didn't take rubber. It was slick. It was patchy. It had some moisture. It had some slick. It was really fun. And even the first race this year, we went over there. It got rough in the middle, but you could go above it and go below it, and it was really fun. But ever since then, it's been nothing but rubber.
That's kind of what it was for us, wasn't it? I mean, you remember?
I was trying to think back on that. I do remember it. It seems like I do remember it. It wearing tires a little bit, but it was not.
It ain't near like
that.
No, it's just different.
Really bad, and like they have it packed really hard. That's one of the issues. It's packed super tight, and the water's not getting down in there. That's my.
So say you think they did that in anticipation for rain?
No, that's just the way it's been. Yeah, that's just the way it's been. The one weekend it was good this year. It had rained a lot leading up to that race, and so the track it was just really soft, and so it held moisture. But it's like it's getting to where, and I'm not trying to bash it. I appreciate them trying to keep the place open, and I think everybody does. But you can hear the rumblings in the pit areas. Like I can't afford to keep coming over here and doing this and smoking all 4 of my tires.
Yeah.
I know I talked to several guys, I won't say their name, but they didn't come Saturday because he's basically like, I'm out of tires and I can't afford to buy tires. If you don't know, a right rear tire is about $370 now.
Yeah.
And so
they've gone up again. Hoosiers done got up.
Like we've started the year over there with 26 cars, 24 cars. Now we're down to about 15 because people can't, get tires back on. They don't want to go burn up all their tires. And it's really frustrating. The place has so much potential. Puts on really fun racing.
For a really small racetrack, it's actually been really racy. Yeah, it's actually been good races going on over there.
It has a ton of potential. It's so frustrating because you could see what it could be.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say they don't put the effort in it, and I understand he owns businesses. This is not his only gig. I get that.
Yeah.
And I understand he's done a podcast where he's talked about if anybody wants to come help me or put money into this and all. And I get all that. I get it takes money and time and all that, but
Sorry, Hadley, could you let him out, please? He keeps wanting to get out. Sorry, the dog got in here. But anyway,
you can see it's starting to affect the sprint car, like the late mod or the modifieds over there. They're still getting 24 B mods, 20 A mods. Well, you don't. It's impossible to burn up a modified tire.
yeah,
And so you're seeing the sprint car count fall off. And he's made like a comment one time. We were standing up at the gate. He was going to try to do some track work, but the track was so hard at the time, the chiller
couldn't do it.
It was just sparking, wasn't doing nothing. And he kind of made a comment to us like, we had the biggest car count that night. And he said, well, you guys are the show tonight, so I'm going to try to fix the track for you. And I was like, that was weird to me. I was like, it's always been a sprint car track, Farmington has. And I was like, well, I was thinking to myself, I mean, well, if the track was not doing this all the time, we probably would have the biggest class every weekend, but people can't afford to do that, and it's frustrating. Like, I'm thankful that, Peanut and Brandon, they have a deal with an Outlaw team where they're able to buy used tires from them. So it's not a big factor for us.
Yeah.
But we have a big stash, but if we keep at this rate, we're going to run through that stash.
Yeah.
And so where do you end up at that? Right. So it's not that I'm not trying to dog him, but I see what it can be, and I want it to be the best it can be.
Well, that's what I don't understand is why have we gotten away from it? Like I said, the last 2 years it's been good.
Yeah. So you mentioned the mods were there. Are the mods bringing more money? I mean, are they bringing a bigger crowd?
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't think so.
They bring more cars. I guess if you're thinking about it, they're bringing more cars, so they're bringing in more pit pass money, and you don't have to pay them as much back out. B mods probably 400 to win. A mods maybe 500 to win. Whereas 1750 to win. So I guess that's one way you could look at it. But I can still see the potential in it, what it could be, and it's just frustrating that it's not that. I know I've heard some of them say that the mod guys hate it when it gets rough. So if the track is rough and faster, then you see the modified car counts fall off. So that's what kind of made me feel like he was more so catering to the biggest car counts. But how do you know what the biggest car count's going to be preparing for a weekend? Like, you don't know. We might have 20. We have.
But I haven't looked at the schedule probably like you have. But do they run all these classes together all the time?
Yeah, it's the same.
It's all the time.
It's the same.
Well, then why not split it up?
So yeah, I mean,
is there less work?
Yeah.
Now, y'all been around it for longer, so you know more about it. But if he's getting overworked, it seems to me like it'd be easier to keep a hard track. It required less maintenance.
Right. But for us, it'll take rubber and it'll kill the tires, and that's the problem.
And I've heard some of them say that some of the guys that run sprint cars say it's cheaper to buy tires than it is to put a whole car back together. Saying the rough track will tear it up. Well, we had a rubber down racetrack, and two dudes, Kevin Petty and Jeff Worst, got together and tore the race cars up. So, I mean, you can tear your car up on a rubber track or a rough track. Yeah, maybe the rough track increases your odds, but I mean, I don't know. It's just it's really frustrating.
Yeah, but your odds of winning go way down when everybody's in the same line, and
it's frustrating when you go over there and you hot lap start and you already know what direction it's going to go in. Like, I started on the pole of my first heat race. I knew I had to win that thing, and even if I do win it, the outside road takes off better. So you almost want to be on the front row of the second heat race, and start on the front row outside and be able to get the jump and get out front. Like Corbin Keith, he won the third heat race, and the best he can start is second row inside. So his chances of winning, unless something crazy happened, are just way down. When you look at your heat race, like, oh shit, I'm in third heat race, so the best I can start is third. Like, it's just really frustrating because
it has to fall in your lap, because like the one and only rubber down race, or I've won 2 rubber down races, but like the one big one that I won was at Sedalia, but it kind of fell in my lap because like you were talking about, like, guys were making mistakes, and all I did from the start of that race, I knew it was rubber down. It was a Sunday afternoon, and so like I just went into that race like, you know what, I know, just run around the bottom, don't miss it, just pedal this thing, make sure we make it to the end, save the tires, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be, basically. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to just drive in under somebody and make anything happen.
That's basically what it was. I hope you're close enough when they make a mistake, you can pass them.
But like that day, Josh Boffman spun out, under, like coming to the caution to miss a lap car. Cody Baker, for whatever reason, got out of the rubber, and then Cornell hit a lap car flip, and he was probably for me the end of the driveway.
Yeah, that's
like he was so far ahead of me, I never had a chance. But he hit that lap car. I guess you never know how close somebody is behind you, so he was trying to hurry, and in the haste, I guess he hit that car flip, and then I had just open racetrack.
Yeah, it was
So
like Brock Elliott had checked out with it. He was it was his race to win. He ended up spinning out on the last lap, but it's like you're out front and you got one line to run in, and you're kind of feel the pressure of it. And so, I don't know exactly how he made the mistake, but it was the same thing. It's like he just happened to make a mistake, so I was able to get a spot that way.
it kind of is a little bit of pressure because like only you can really screw it up.
When you get to the lap cars, you have to change the way you're running the car.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to drive around them. You got to kind of follow them. So, it's the only guy that leaves the track that had a good time is the winner.
Yeah.
Like I experienced that a couple weeks ago. Like I said, won the second heat race. They would start front row outside. The outside just takes off better there. Got out front, held the lead. I was the only guy that had fun that one.
Yeah.
It's just.
So it was rubber down that night too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I couldn't remember if you told me that or not.
We've had 5 races there this year. 4 of them. Well, they've only had 5 total. It's been so much rain, but 4 of them have been rubber, and the first one was pretty good, but they had a bunch of rain leading up to that. So I've never went to. Like I said, I'm trying not to complain. I understand, but like I never woke up on Saturday morning hoping that it would rain at a racetrack because I felt like that was going to give us the best surface we could have. Is if it rains late Friday night, early Saturday morning.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating, especially as a driver. Like how it is. Like
like I said earlier, like I know what it can be. I've been there, participated like the Queen's Royal last year. You could move around. You could move around. It was a little rough. But you could do. You could do things and make things happen.
A lot of track that night.
Yeah, it was a lot of track. Lap cars play a role in it, and so I know what it's capable of. And
then I see people like somebody like Jerry Russell posted that photo in the comments, are just the racers saying that's why I won't come up.
That's why I don't want to go.
I'm just like, damn man, that's so frustrating.
That's
because
how we are.
I know I've seen the cars come there. I know that they will come, but not when it's going to be like that every weekend or not.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be the best it can be because it can be really awesome. It's just frustrating to, see that. But
well, me and Dad actually had that conversation today. He said something about trying to run Farmington a couple times, and I told him, I said, if they don't get the track under control, I'd really rather just save the tires and go somewhere else, or just save it for the Queen's Roll or something else.
If I was putting the bill on it, I wouldn't go there either.
Yeah.
I totally get it, and that's just I'm hopeful. Like he has made some comments that he understands he needs to put some new dirt on it. He's got to do some things. Like he understands that.
Well, he made like this big video, and I don't know if you remember this or not, Bo, but like the guy over Farmington, he made like this video. He went on this podcast,
the Dirty Right Rear podcast.
That's it. And he was talking about like how he's honestly like really too busy, and he's got all this other stuff going on, and he was actually trying to sell it. He's going to try to maintain it and do what he can.
That's when he said. That's when he said, maybe if I can get somebody to come partner with me or just buy me outright. I started hearing that. I was like, man, because he did one podcast with the Dirty Right Rear before the season started, and I sounded like he's the guy that grew up there, went there, like he has his heart's invested in the place. So like, it seemed pretty promising. I was like, okay, well maybe he cares. But then we got a couple weeks in, and he put out this. I guess people had some complaints, so we went back on the podcast and put that one back out, and it didn't seem quite as promising on the second one. It was kind of like, I'm not going to quit, but if somebody brought me some money, I would walk away from it, which I understand he's got a family and other businesses. I get all that. I totally do. It's just, I just feel like just a little bit more effort in the track prep would do a lot.
Yeah.
Don't pack it so hard. Like just let the water get down in there instead of sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not a track prep man either, but that's just something I just can just see. Like a couple weeks ago we went, I'm getting on a rant here, but the track was sloppy, like kind of slimy like Riverside is sometimes. I was like, well, maybe we'll have something.
Yeah.
But it was so tight, we just smoked it right on.
Yeah.
Just like that. There was nothing. It was gone again. I was like, well, I just packed too tight. It's not getting in there. It's just sitting on top.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, my only complaint over the weekend, I ran a lot of races. It was on iRacing. I ran a ton of races on iRacing, and I'm going to tell you, there's a bunch of idiots on there. I love it. I enjoy it. But, man, I tried to run two cup races at Atlanta, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and I get wrecked all the time. Just sitting there in line, just waiting for the end of the race, and I get wrecked. Same thing, Xfinity. I tell you what, I led over 500 laps at Bristol though in the Gen 4 car, so I had a semi good weekend, I guess. That's the only racing I got to talk about.
Well, let's get into something. Brad said something. I forgot all about this. But last week, Hoosier went up. The cost of tires went up across.
Yeah,
the board.
what was the
Or-
picture
or
you sent
maybe
me?
This coming week.
There's
Anyway,
there's a price increase coming.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a deadline, and it's going up. So
Tomorrow, right?
yeah.
July
I
1st?
think it's this week. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So I've been thinking, you go back to the 80s, and I can't remember if it went into the 90s or not, but Hoosier and Goodyear in NASCAR and the controversy that it was.
Mhm.
I also think about our conversation a couple weeks ago about what High Limit and the Outlaws are doing for each other. One coming in and changing the game is pushing the other one to be better, which is pushing the other one to be better. It's kind of like a race to the top.
Mhm.
Is it time for another tire manufacturer to come in and add some competition?
Funny you say that because I got a picture right here, and Brad's actually the one that sent it to me. This was posted by American Racer. It was on April 23rd. You can look at their Facebook. So I'll read it. It says Sprint car tire pricing. American Racer right rear $290. Hoosier right rear $348, which will now be $368 as of tomorrow. The American Racer left rear is $275 to $283. I'm assuming that just depends on the size that you get. The Hoosier left rear is $348. The American Racer fronts $195. The Hoosier fronts are $264.
So is there a tire rule? I mean, I know NASCAR's got it with Goodyear, and if you go back and look at the NASCAR deal with Goodyear, it's because corners were being cut to make things cheaper, and it was causing danger.
Didn't they used to have they had the option to race a Hoosier and Goodyear tires?
I think it was actually Firestone.
Firestone?
And Goodyear. I don't know that it was Hoosier.
I thought it was Hoosier.
Hoosier may have been in on it too, but the reason they went to all Goodyear is quality control.
So they say.
So they say.
Yeah.
And they were running 200-mile-an-hour cars when all this was going down, and safety wasn't like it is today. So I'm not trying to say driving a sprint car is less or more dangerous, one or the other. But how often are you running 200 miles an hour?
Well, there's a tire rule that goes like from the 360 to the 410 where we have a harder sidewall
Yep.
because the 410 supposedly is carrying a lot more speed, which I don't think is true because the 360s, well, not all the time, but like the 360s a couple years ago when I went to Lake Ozark, the 360s were running faster lap times than the 410s were. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
You remember watching that?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, so I don't see why they have to do
I
that.
just wonder if it's a viable thing, because competition does drive price down.
Yeah.
It does, because people they're going to want you to keep their business.
You was asking if it's a rule. If I'd have to go back and just read it again, but I'm pretty sure it says it must be a Hoosier tire. Like
You have to, most of them are Hoosier on all four corners.
yeah,
Some of them are just Hoosier on the rear. You can run whatever on the front.
yeah. The fronts, as long as it's a Hoosier, and then like the left rear, if it's a 410, it's got to be like a D. If it's a 410 or like the ASCS, they got to have the medium right rear. It must be a medium, can't be nothing else.
Yeah.
Something, stuff like that.
Well, until you have another brand come in and push them, how do you know? I mean,
Well, I mean,
rear tires go down all the time on sprint cars, and nobody. I mean, it just happens.
Yeah.
Well, we've had, like, Goodyear came in a couple years ago and
that was
outbid Outlaws and USCS around here and other Hoosier places. They outbid them, and the tire was trash.
yeah.
It was,
That was like when I first started. My first year was 2012 in the sprint car, and USCS. That was the biggest pain.
like that bald tire we saw there.
Yeah,
like,
that
the track,
was-
the
that
track
was-
wouldn't even have to rubber up. It'd get
Yeah.
slick, and the tire would just
And
do
Goodyear
that.
Yeah, the Goodyear would wear out. That was the biggest pain going between the series was
Yeah.
1 week I'd be running USCS and
Yeah,
I'd have to
yeah,
mount
two
all my
tires.
Goodyears up,
Mhm.
and then the next week we'd go to ASCS and I'd have to mount all the Hoosiers up.
Yeah,
but-
two-
But it's that money. It's Hoosier going and saying, "Hey guys, we're going to give y'all some money to run our tire in the program," and then it comes back and bites the racer in the butt.
Yeah.
I've
rather
been
than-
saying, I've made posts about it before, like we have the power. We have the power to take control of this tire situation if you can get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whether that be we're not racing until you open this up, or we all buy American Racer and show up to the racetrack and unload and be like, well, what are we gonna do? You gonna let us race, or you gonna call the show? Like, what are we gonna do here? But I just don't have faith that you can get everybody on the same.
No,
page.
you're not going to do
There's
that.
there's going to be a money line somewhere.
We have the power to do it, but just like Hoosier probably throws money at outlaw guys and gives them tires or whatnot, so they're going to show up and still race. And
Yeah.
people that have the money to do it will probably just show up and still race.
Yeah.
It'll be more the little guys. It'll have to completely tank before you see a change. To where when I say tank, I mean when you go to a 410 outlaw show and everywhere you go there's 20 cars, or only the platinum members show up, and then they'll be like, well, what's happening? Where's everybody going? Well, our right rear tires are 450 now. You know,
Well, it ain't far off. I mean, they went up last year. They're up again this year.
5 years from now, that's what we're looking at. And so,
Yep.
well, our right rears are 450 now. We can't afford to come
I
race.
remember when we
So,
first started.
$1,000 a night at Farmington at that point.
I remember-
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it pays $17.50.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I remember when we first started, right rears would be like $200. Like when I first started.
Yeah.
You know, and that was 2012.
I might be breaking some news here, but I did talk to Clayton today, and he talked about that picture, and he told me for his 305 guys, he's going to open up the tire rule for them. So
Really?
they want to run American Racer because Hoosier don't give him any money for
Yeah.
that deal over there. He's just basically had it Hoosier because that's our 360 rule.
So
is
are
Hoosier.
you thinking that American Racer just needs to come in and start putting money in it, paying these
Well,
series? Or, I mean, how does that work
I
exactly?
don't know. I fear if you do that, well then
American goes up.
can American Racer keep up with the demand? They haven't been putting out sprint car tires like Hoosier has for years now. Can they keep up with the demand, or will they just do the same thing Hoosier does and
Go
once they
up.
get their foot in the door, then start going up as well? Because you monopolize it like
Yeah, that's why you can't monopolize it. You got to leave it open. You got to leave that door open. And what NASCAR said it was a quality thing. Well, like I said, sprint car tires go down all the time.
yeah. It's
I
like,
mean, we had one go down for no good reason.
Yeah.
Might have got cut, might
But
not have.
I was
but
gonna say,
probably no good reason.
I've actually never had a tire blow since I've been racing. I've never had a right rear tire go down in a race, and 13
really-
years later, I had one go.
I think that was a new tire that night. I
Yeah,
think it still
no, it
had
was.
nipples on it.
Yeah, it was a new tire. It wasn't hurt. We had to run over something because I know we didn't wear it out.
Well,
I guess
Either-
unless the tire come apart. But people have had that happen. I've seen Jamie
what I'm
Ball
saying,
and
and-
several guys from
and-
Knoxville would post tires that just come apart, and they would be new.
oh yeah, delaminate. Right
Mhm.
and stuff.
And that
you're
could have
not
happened.
running- You're not running 200 miles. I mean, I know the car's still dangerous. I mean, I know the speed is still there, but I don't think there's as much pressure as there is on NASCAR running those stock cars. If tires go down, is what I'm saying. So when you bring another group in, as long as I mean, if they suck, if 10 people buy them and all 10 people lose that tire, you're not going to sell another tire.
Yeah, but that's how it was. That's how Hoosier's been. Like it was worse a couple years ago. It's gotten better, but it's still not. It's still not where it
No,
was
no.
2016,
And there's
2015.
really
I'm talking about if you open it up for everybody.
Oh,
The
man.
tire that performs the best is going to get bought more,
More.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
regardless of price.
back when my dad raced, like back in the 80s and maybe like late 70s and through the 80s, it was open. Like they had Firestone, Goodyear, McCrary, which is now American Racer. You had Hoosier back then. Like you could run whatever tire you wanted. Like some dudes would be on Firestones out there and stuff like that. Of course, that was the thing is there would be better tires they would heat up quicker. Like if an outlaw guy was getting a Firestone deal and the Goodyears were firing faster and going quicker, well then that guy would be like, he would just abandon that deal. He's like, well, I can't win a race on these Firestones, and he would go to the Goodyear. It's kind of that thing. Whatever was best, they kind of migrated to that tire.
Well, see, that goes back on the tire manufacturer. Like, make it better, make your tire better, and make it
That's what
compete.
I'm saying. Yeah, competition for sure. Will make it better.
We need competition, and right now Hoosier is just they're just running it right
Yeah,
now.
they got it all.
Theoretically, even if the tires stayed at the 370 mark that they're jumping to tomorrow, even if both tires cost that much, the competition between the two would create a better tire. You'd be buying more tire at the end of that because
If they open the rules.
if they open the rules.
Now,
That's right.
there's some guys that run Benton, Missouri for the 305s. And they have some American racers, and they've said really good things about them. They've showed like a slick racetrack. They've showed their tire wear, and it's nothing close to what a Hoosier would probably do on that same type of racetrack. So, I mean, of course, I would love to see competition, but until we start to fight back, you're not going to see it.
Why don't we start with small tracks opening up like Riverside? Ain't no sense in us having a regular race at Riverside without having the tire rule opened up, unless Hoosiers sending some money down there.
Well, the problem with Riverside is like for us, every 360 race at Riverside is a sanctioned event. It's a USCS or an
There's
ASCS
maybe
race.
one or two that isn't.
The Hodnett's not.
Yeah,
The
maybe.
what's the other one?
The Hooker Hood
Hooker
deal.
Hood, but wait a minute, isn't that the Hodnett now?
No, they're
Thought they swapped.
they're still going to do both of them.
Either way, if you start on those small, even if it's 2 races a year that you start and you open it up, it gives, I mean, for us, it gives us a chance to save $200 a night.
Yeah, it's just
You
the
know?
only thing is, it just gets this back to the same thing where you got to buy 2 different tires, and you got to buy Hoosiers and you got to buy American Racers for this 2 races a year basically. So and it's hard
Just
to
don't burn them up on
it's
the
hard to-
first race, so you can run the second race.
it's hard to justify to do that. That's like it was back in the Goodyear Hoosier days, like we had to buy both of them. Like it was really difficult to have both of them at the same time.
Man, it was a pain.
Yeah,
It was such a pain having to go back and forth.
That drives price up. Because then, I mean, when you start talking about stagger and stuff like that, you're going to come to if you buy 2 tires, you're going to do the track with 1 setup,
Yeah.
and you just lose the.
That'd be the only thing I wouldn't
change it.
that I wouldn't like is if we got to running 2 different tires and we could open the rule up or whatever and having to sit there and go back and forth between having to.
One thing, but if you were running, if you were running Riverside, we kind of have an idea of what the car is going to do at Riverside. We can put it in. We could buy those 2 tires in that range, and then if we did need a little bit more stagger or a little less stagger, we could still run it out. Whatever it was, open rule. So we can whatever we got in the trailer, we can run on that other tire to change that stagger up. You might could start there and start to open it up. It would get people talking anyway about making some change on bigger series changes. Maybe. I don't know.
Do we know if the American Racer is harder? Is it a harder tire? If it's lasting longer for the guys at Benton, is it like a harder tire?
That's something Clayton did mention to me when I talked to him about it. Was what did it durometer? And I really don't have that answer. I don't know.
Would they not make
it
it
is.
different? Each class of tire, would it not be different?
What do you mean?
Are you talking about we got a race on 410s Ds?
The 410, yeah, you run a D right rear on the 410 and a medium on the 360.
So I guess you could still run one series and have a different hardness setup. Never mind. I take back my comment.
All right, well, kind of going off that we were talking about track surfaces and tires. Me and Bo were actually talking the other day about Wheatland. Did you watch any of Wheatland?
Yeah, I watched it.
Did you notice like how slow they look? I know, like I think you've mentioned a couple times how Wheatland, the surface of Wheatland's different, and how it was a tire eater, but I didn't think it was really a tire eater. But it had multiple grooves and it actually raced really
It was
good.
a lot better. The surface looked a lot better than it has been the last couple of years. It really didn't blow off that much. They did have some rain up there every day, pretty much. I think it was. I think that kind of played a factor in it as well. But it was definitely a lot better. Not like a big tire eater or anything like that, but
Thursday and Saturday, it looked like a bunch of snails running. When they fired,
Man.
I told Brandon, I was like, it's something when Dazen Pursley holds off 5 drivers. I mean, he ended up finishing 10th, but it took him 25 laps to get by him, and he's not that good a racer.
Man,
So he didn't wreck, but it was because he wasn't going fast, so he didn't have
they were snailing around that place. It was
until the back.
slow.
On the backside, especially Thursday night. Saturday night cleaned up quick, and they got quick. But Thursday night, it legitimately took 15 laps before they started getting any real speed on that track.
Yeah.
speaking of Dason Pursley
Oh boy.
and the Wheatland.
Wait, are you buddies with Dason?
No, just
I was about to say, because
something that just
I kinda-
Bo,
Hey,
Bo really he does not like Dason.
it's not that I don't like him. It's just he's supposed to be one of the best, and he doesn't seem to be any good.
well, he
But
doesn't
that's
have,
just my
he doesn't have a
opinion.
lot of wing experience. So.
That is true. He's kind of from the midget background.
I'm trying to cut him some slack.
But I just the thing that infuriated me is what anytime any driver says this, but I think after he won the heat race, I believe it was, he said that they asked him a question like, did you hear him or how would you hold him off, something like that. And he's like, well, I watched the big screen and I could see him coming.
Oh yeah.
And I took his line away, and I cannot stand that, and I do not understand why. I get Lucas Oil has a massive big screen, Knoxville has a massive big screen, but why do we have to have it on while the race is? People are watching the race. They're
Yeah.
not, why is it on the
I
big
agree.
screen?
Yeah.
Like,
It wasn't just Pursley. It was every single driver
There was I heard
that
more.
got out of the
yeah.
car in the post race.
Talk about
every
watching the
winner
big screen.
talks about
Like,
watching
I
the
can-
big, trying to eye the big
I
screen.
can remember when I won there. I could remember I could go down the back straightaway and look how far Derek or Seth was behind me
See,
going down the back
And
straightaway.
I tried to do that too, and I could not see my head was like shaking. I could not see what was going on. I was like, I don't know how y'all do it because I've tried and I cannot do it. Like I looked up, I was like, screw that. I'm not.
Wait, well, what's your headrest? Is it foam or?
Well, no, I had a Butlerville at the time, but like I don't know. It just I looked up real fast. And I was like, screw that.
Well, I'm saying if it's shaking and you can't see.
That was just I don't know. Like it seemed like it was really shaky, but I didn't look very long either. I
Yeah.
was just like, screw that.
No, I can remember. Like I can remember, it's right in front of you.
Yeah,
Like
it's
every
going right
time
down
you
the
come out of turn
straightaway.
2, you could just look up and you
Yeah.
could see, like, as long as you were on the screen, you could see exactly how far behind
Yeah, and
somebody was from
and
you.
As long as they had in that Thursday night and then Saturday night, as long as they had going down that back straight,
For real.
it took. I mean, those cars would be lined up and set. It's not like they were hanging out.
Yeah.
They were set, and they still were not getting down that track.
I told Bo, we'd probably be better off to go there, put the 360 on for the feature. You have 100 pounds, the car would stick better,
Yeah.
and you have less power to try to put to the ground. You
I
probably.
think it was more so the TV. I bet if you were there,
I don't know,
I
man.
guarantee you they were.
I've
ripping
watched,
it.
like,
No, but they got fast at the end of the race.
yeah, they did get a little faster, but
I think it was a little bit. I think a little bit like moisture coming up in the beginning because you could see their
Right.
tire tracks,
Yeah.
like the tires,
Man, every one of
Yeah.
them.
like a little
every
moisture.
one.
And they would kind of get burned in, and they would get rolling again there. But back to my
It was
original
weird to
point.
watch.
Back to my original point because I just got to get this off my chest. Like the big screens piss me off. Knoxville it pisses me off. Like these are the best thing about dirt racing is you don't know where the guy is.
Yeah.
But every
Well,
chili
people listen that don't watch sprint car racing or whatever, which more than likely they do. But we don't have spotters like NASCAR. They have spotters.
we have no mirrors.
Yeah, we have no mirrors. We have no way of knowing if anybody. That's why I was talking about Jonathan earlier in that race. If he'd have known how far back I was, he'd have never pressed that light car
Yeah.
like he did. We have no idea how far behind or ahead we are. So we have no way of communicating anything like that. And so what we're talking about is Lucas Oil Speedway, like Knoxville, and then heck, even Riverside, like the World of Outlaws brought
brought the big
bought
screen. Yeah.
brought the big screen and had it sitting on the front straightaway where we could see it. So we're wondering
a lot harder to see where
a lot harder to see it, but why on the racetracks that we run at, they're so small, fans are watching the race. They're not watching the monitor. They're not watching the screen.
Yeah, no need for it to be.
Yeah, so there's no need for it. So why do we have it?
It's always the biggest races. Knoxville Nationals, you hear it. Even at Chili Bowl, you hear it. They
Yeah.
tried to move it from going down the front straightaway to going through 1 and 2, but you still hear the guys that come off the corner look over and can see it.
Mhm.
It's all the biggest races, and that's so frustrating. You'll see a guy get a big run. He's making a big run on the top, and then the guy on the bottom just lane changes, and you automatically know he saw the screen, and it just ruins
Yeah.
the race. Like, we all pay good money to come see these big events. We want it to be just straight up, not people watching the big screens. Or even, I hated the late model racing, the stick men. I hate the stick men. Like,
Yeah.
you'll see Bobby Pierce will be running the bottom, and then all of a sudden, the guy on the top, and Bob will tell him to go to the top. He'll move up and block the race off. Like, I just can't. It just frustrates me. And like, why? Like, my biggest thing is why do we have them on? Like, sure, we have technology to where we can turn the big screen off, and if you want to show the replay, you can
Just
turn
show
it back.
logos. Just show sponsor logos from the racetrack, or
And then-
just show other stuff.
if
You
you
don't
wanna
have to
show-
show the race.
If you want to show the replay, turn the screen back
Yeah.
on and just show the replay. Like, it's just I kind of get it at Chili Bowl. You have people that are in the pits watching the screen.
Yeah.
Surely we can turn off the track screen and leave all other screens on, and just show replay if we need to. But it's just that's just I hate every time I hear that I was all looked on the big screen and just it
Yeah.
ruins it for
It's
me.
ruined a lot. Well, it's ruined, like you said, it's ruined a lot of good finishes possibly, and it takes.
Yeah,
Oh, is
sure
you
is.
watching your favorite driver?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got comments about that too. But yeah, like even some of the greatest races you got going, like you said, you'll know, like Larson and Bell, they all talk about at the Chili Bowl how they get out of the car and then like, yeah, I just looked up the monitor and I saw Kyle doing this or I saw
Is
Chris
that not a
doing this.
testament to his drivers a little bit though? that they're able to control the car, going pushing it to its max,
And then
still
be
have
able to
time
look.
at the
It is.
screen
That's still
and
impressive.
register
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
not
I
for
respect
them to-
it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it
That's-
just like I said, it just
From an
messes
outsider's
with the event.
perspective, you see a driver handling a car, and then you hear them talking about how they looked at the screen long enough to see what was going on. It's not like they just glanced at it.
Yeah.
that's
They
what
looked
I
at
said.
it long enough to process it.
That's what I said. I can't do it. I tried, and it wasn't for me.
That's an impressive thing.
Well, it sounds like you and I both need to get better about watching the screen while we're racing. That way we can pay closer attention, but we also got to be leading when we do it too,
Yeah.
because they're not.
They're
They're probably
not
they're not
showing-
showing like 13th or whatever. They're not back there showing.
We just need
showing
to worry about finishing a race.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that.
Yes, we need
We
to.
just
We need to
finish
finish a race.
A race.
Yeah, we need to have something not go wrong. We don't need no more throttle sticking. We don't need no more tires blowing. And Brandon needs to try to keep it on all fours. But,
Yep.
But yeah, so the same thing. Talking about Wheatland again. The format. This was kind of funny. I wish we could play it, but we got in trouble
Yeah.
last time. But so Aaron Reitzel wins Thursday night, gets out of the car. He says a couple little comments, but I'll just say I'm not really a fan of Aaron Reitzel.
I like it.
He's really talented. He's really fast. He's done some impressive things. He's fun to watch, but his attitude and like the way he, the way he exposes
Demeanor.
himself, like his whole demeanor, like everything about him, he comes across wrong to a lot of people. But the first couple comments out of the car, he talks about leaving Huset's and
Like you
because
said,
of the
it's nice-
format.
It's nice to get back to a race and have a normal format,
Yeah.
unlike that other place we were just at.
Yeah.
There's something about
Talking about
that.
Huset's, and I didn't even realize that he had left. He left after the heat races Friday night.
Mhm.
And so, what I was trying to find it, what was so different about the Huset's?
They kind of did it like Knoxville. You got qualifying points, and then they inverted the top 8. So like fast qualifier.
Oh, I heard about
Start at 8th in the heat race, and you work your way up 7th, 6th.
There we go. All right, drivers will split
'Cause
into
if you
two
have
qualifying
If
groups.
you had a good week all week, it puts you in a bad position at the end of the week
Well,
because it would invert.
Wednesday and Thursday were different shows, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they restarted Friday.
Friday restarted it Friday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the Thursday night show paid 100,000,
Yeah.
and then that
Yep.
was over. And then
Thursday
they had the
night,
Friday night
They,
show.
they took your points, and so like, I think that maybe they locked in 4, maybe they didn't, but I know whoever was high point man started on the pole of their heat race on Thursday, and so same or on Saturday. Whoever high point man was on the prelim night started on the pole of the heat race, then next highest point man second, on so on fourth. But like I said, Rico qualified good, had to start 8th in his heat race, and he couldn't pass anybody, so he ended up like 9th.
Yeah.
And so he didn't have a really great week, but I mean,
And see, like with us, we have dirty air. We get back there in that dirty air, and if you have any kind of racetrack that's real fast, where air really matters, it can really offset the car, kind of throws you out of whack.
Yep.
And so when you get thrown back there like that, in the heat race, it really puts you at a bad disadvantage. Because even the guys that aren't that fast can be a lot faster as soon as they get to clean air.
Yep.
And so you really put
when Houston,
you're really getting punished for
Houston
being
is
fast.
really narrow too. It's really narrow in the heat races, so it's going to be hard to pass regardless. Which they discussed it. You go to Long Live the Chaz on YouTube. He talked about he was up there at that show, and he talked to Todd Quirian's son, which is the one that runs the track,
Yeah.
and they're looking into getting different dirt. They're going to like do some soil tests up there, and maybe even talk about moving the inside berm in and taking some banking out of it
Yeah.
to try to make it a little better racing.
That track's narrow anyway.
It's
We
really
talked about
super
that last
narrow,
time.
and it's like they're going to try to do some things to get it better and more racy, which I can respect. Putting that effort into doing that. That's what it's like. That's why it gets so. I don't like talking about racetracks or racing surfaces because well, I guess with Houston's, I know they're going to try to put the effort in. He's got the time, the money to put the effort in.
Yeah.
And then you have Reitzel complain about it when it's one of the nicest facilities in the country.
Yeah.
Like everything about it is super nice. You're not going to find a better one outside of Knoxville at Eldor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it's far away, and to me, it's one of the places I'd like to go just because it is so
Oh, yeah,
nice.
it'd be
I'd
awesome.
like to go up there and run it
Yeah.
just because it is so nice. But
and it's,
So is Reitzel feeding into it?
well, see, I was going to also mention. I was
Oh,
gonna mention that too. Is when he did that, it didn't feel authentic to me. It was almost like he forced that out to try to put this together, or he's trying to play the villain role like a bad wrestler. But he's not good
He's-
at it.
so I-
He's like
I
his
don't-
monologue was not good. It was like stumble through it, and I was like,
Yeah,
I was like,
I don't know. He
that
plays a
didn't
pretty good villain to me.
my impression
really
was
well.
not so much that he stumbled through it. It was more like, I got the impression he might have been trying to egg it.
That's
just
what
a
I'm saying.
little
It didn't
bit.
feel authentic to me.
Yeah.
Like it was like I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna try to get some numbers on.
Well, I didn't know that he left
YouTube.
Friday night.
Yeah, I didn't even.
That's
I
pretty
didn't,
major, though.
I didn't realize.
especially after he didn't even run the feature,
which I mean,
or even
No, he didn't attempt it. He was like, he said the format's jacked up, basically.
So that kind of gives him a little bit more legitimacy in his comments. If he'd have
Yeah.
run everything and then been like, I hate this system.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you ran it, brother.
Well, it
But
is.
since
It
you
is.
didn't run it.
It is a pretty bad disadvantage. Like I said, you're getting punished for qualifying so good.
Yep.
Whereas most of the time, qualifying's everything. Like heat races matters only a little bit. Most
I
of
mean,
the
you
time.
go out there and sandbag,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
you can run better.
Yeah.
I've heard the sandbag, but I didn't really think about it too much until I go back to Chaz every time. So I was listening to him. He talks to the crew chiefs and stuff, and I was like, people talk about sandbag, and I'm like, there's just no way you can sandbag. Like they go out there and they go as hard as they possibly can, blah blah blah. But then he made a point that, like, even when the track is locked down in qualifying, that they'll detune the motors.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
They'll put different nozzles in
Yep,
to
yeah.
try to detune them so it doesn't run. You can run the car hard, but it's not going to go as hard.
yeah.
And hoping you kind of
I
like
was just thinking, I mean, we
8
can
to
change
10.
tire setup. We can put a little different gear in it. We can do.
So they.
I mean, there's
I
a
didn't-
million things we can do. You
I-
can move the wing around and keep it from.
Yeah, I
keep
didn't
it
think
from
about, I
sticking
didn't
so
think about
hard.
doing that type of stuff to sandbag.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the driver sandbag, but you sandbag on your.
But
engine.
see, we could set the car up and never tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just I'd rather not.
And
know.
you'd come out and run. You'd come out and run it the same way you run it any other time.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't run the time. I mean, we could 100% throw you off enough where you could lose a second and a half.
Yeah, it makes me wonder because, like, I watched Tyler Courtney. Well, that's matter of fact, that same night I was telling you about when the 360s were faster than the 410s at Lake Ozark. We were parked next to Tyler Courtney, and I mean, we sat there and watched Courtney change wings right after qualifying.
Yep.
You know, and Larson does it. Larson's been running that wing that's not powder coated or whatever, like for qualifying and stuff. But they're actually trying. To
Yeah,
me,
he's trying
they're
to
actually
maximize-
trying.
He's trying to
get more speed.
maximize. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but it depends on the format. It all depends on how they're doing the points and how much they're inverting. Just like ASCS when we went to Batesville a couple weeks ago, like if the faster you are, they only inverted 4, and I think that's fine. Go back one row. I think that's totally fine. You still have to put some work in, but you're not at such a darn disadvantage either. I think 4 is probably good enough. I don't think I would invert anymore.
Yeah, well, I like the
I like the
I
format.
like the way the high limit does their deal. Is I know we're getting way off topic here.
Hold
but
on. Can you say that again?
high limit.
No. You do what about high limit?
I like their format.
I just wanted you to say that again.
Because I don't hate high limit. But it's like I like that you start your quick time. You start 4th, and if you can win the heat race, you're the only guy that goes into the dash. Nobody else gets in. I do like the way that they do incentivize a little bit. Same thing with ASCS, I believe. I think if you win that heat race from 4th, nobody else gets in the dash. And so it incentivizes, if you do our quick time, you don't just have to ride around and just transfer. You can go for it and knock somebody else out of the dash. So I do like that. Which to any format though, I feel like there's flaws. Like
Yeah.
you know, to go to an example was Riverside Outlaw Show. You went out super early
Yeah.
in the Outlaw Show, and that was the whole night.
Oh yeah.
The later you went, the track just fell off.
Bad.
And so there was nobody who was going to just jump up to the top. And so, like, it just depends on, like, you could get a bad draw in qualifying. And
Yeah.
if you'd had drew a bigger number, you were,
And it wouldn't have taken
Coming
a
out
much
last.
bigger number.
yeah, you would have went out later in qualifying, you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It's like every format has its flaws.
I've gone out 2nd, 3rd, 5th, like a lot. I've gone like going to the outlaw shows. I've gone out early before, and it bite me.
Yeah.
You just never know.
You never
I
know.
was
You
gonna
never
say,
know.
doing that, it does have its flaw. You do qualify better if you go out early, but the cars that come off the track late are gonna see a track that's more like what the race is gonna be, versus when you come off the track in that early qualifying, the track may change
Well, that's
before
one of
you
the
get
reasons.
back
that
out on
they-
it. So it kind of
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that they have Flight A and Flight B now, which I like. I'm glad they done that.
Yeah.
Because when I was talking about going out so early, a lot of times the track would get better. You know, and the
Mhm.
guys that was second or third from the back usually qualified a lot better.
We did that last year too. No, it was Magnolia this year. We qualified. We went out late in qualifying,
Yeah, and that
and
hurt
it
us.
got us. No, it got us position.
They did.
I think it's Magnolia.
I thought-
One of the races we did. It
know
don't
that
matter where it was. But
ASCS show at Riverside, it hurt both. We went out early, and we were kind of like 5th and 6th in qualifying at ASCS, the big show we did over there.
Oh yeah, in
And
October.
then the track started getting quicker, and we were just steadily
Yeah,
dropping.
we just
steadily
fell like a
dropping.
rock. You
we've
know, you
done it.
just
We've
never
gone
know.
both ways
Yeah.
on that, and
I
don't
still
know.
like qualify. So like, this is so funny to me that ASCS does qualifying now because for years, like when I started running 410s in 2016, I would go run and first time I'd ever really qualified was running 410 stuff, and then I would come back and I'd run like a national show, and Brian Holbert was always at the meeting, and I'd say, man, I wish I would qualify. It makes it so much simpler and it seems way more fair because I mean, used to you drew a pill and then that's where they lined us up for the heat races and that was just it. Whereas now, like you actually have to qualify and that will determine your starting spot for each heat race.
And even that still has its flaws.
Yeah,
Because let me look at this real quick. 'Cause I remember looking at these heat races and thinking, good Lord, this one heat. See, I think it was heat 2. Yeah, it was Sam Paperteeth, Matt Covington, Seth Bergman, Derek, Dale Howard, Harley
this?
White, Landon, and Hayden Martin were all in the same heat race at Batesville.
wow.
That was
Yeah.
all one heat race.
Yeah, and they had to qualify against each other.
Yeah,
So
you qualify against your heat race.
yeah, so
At
that
ASC
and
is.
yeah, and that's a little bit different. Not the 410 stuff's not that way, but
Yeah.
I don't mind that either. But like you said,
Yeah,
if you
it
drew
could work out for you.
yeah, it could work out for you, and it might not.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be any of them.
They all have flaws.
Yeah, they've all got some kind of flaw to them. So it's either going to work in your favor or not. I can tell you though, regardless, I say qualify because it's
definitely
way more fair,
Yeah.
and it is based on the speed of the car. It's
Yep.
not pulling a pill and oh geez,
and
I
it gives
drew,
you it gives you another opportunity to make a change to the car too. I mean,
true.
because
got
we
another lap or
have
two.
qualified bad and started to fix the car and then gone out and heat raced, and then by the time we got to the matter of fact, our best race of the year that we didn't finish, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah,
we got
Yeah.
we got to the feature and we were bad fast.
yeah.
But we didn't start the night out there. We started the night out close.
Yeah.
But we had 3 chances to get it right.
Yeah.
We did.
Well, I mean, so again, like for the average person that watches this, like we only get like 3 laps of practice, or we call them hot laps. So like you don't,
And they really
yeah.
don't. The hot laps don't
And that-
really mean nothing.
yeah, and you probably won't even learn anything because the track's usually kind of greasy or wet, so you're not really gonna learn anything or know what the car's actually gonna do. And so, like Bo said, like having another 2 laps of qualifying, you at least get another idea of okay, this is where we're at. So at least when you go out there for your heat race, you've got a better idea. But that also means everybody else gets a better idea, so it makes it harder, in that sense. Everybody else gets to work on their car too.
Yeah, but
But it's fair to me. It's way more fair.
I'd rather us start out knowing what we know and everybody else knowing what they know too.
Yeah.
I'd rather know because I know we can set the car up better
Yeah.
and then outdrive them.
Oh,
So
I appreciate that.
I'd rather us have the best opportunity to do that.
You hear that? That
And,
was nice.
and to have a chance of them setting it up perfect, and then we never get the chance to race them because we can't get our car just like we want it.
Yeah, I'm just glad that they done away with the draw, and here you go. You start heat race
Yeah.
number 3. You start ninth. Good luck, and then you got all these fast people in front of me, and the whole time I'm thinking, what did I do? Like it's just chance, and that's what going back to what I would say to Brian. Brian used to give me a hard time. He's like, "Guy, go run 410s," and now he's got to come back and try to change the 360s. And now look at them; they're all qualifying now. So it's kind of funny how that kind of came full circle. But yeah, I definitely prefer qualifying over just drawing. I that never made any sense to me. At least it's in your hands.
To kind of spin
More.
back though to the original point with Aaron Reitzel was kind of dogging out the formats. I guess I see it from both ways as well. As a driver, yeah, big inverts suck. I get it, but we're there to put on a show for the fans, and has the best opportunity to produce exciting moments when you have those big inverts.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder to make them work because everybody is so fast now, but it still has moments like Eldora have some awesome moments. King's Royal,
But Eldora's also big,
Biggest
wide. You've got a chance.
in
to do that.
Knoxville, I've noticed a lot better racing at Knoxville this year. they did some stuff with the dirt, and so I'm hoping you can get back to exciting big invert heat races for the Nationals this year as well. They've had a lot of time, a lot of races this year to kind of dial in their deal. So I'm hoping their big invert format will be exciting like it used to be.
So they're going to keep. You said it's the same as what they used at Huset's. I mean, it was an Alamo
I
race.
believe it's going to be 8, and it used to be 10, and they changed it to 8. They discussed going to 6, but I'm pretty sure it's still 8 for the invert for the Knoxville deal.
I was trying to look it up again. Dang, Will, you can't mute your phone over there. It's over there playing on TikTok. We over here trying that gone. I was actually trying to look up the format just to double check because I wanted to make sure we were right. I was trying to see how many they inverted, but I guess it was 8.
Qualifying, get a lot, like 100 points for your quick time, and
yeah, qualifying's always. But anytime we've ever had to qualify, it was always way more important how you qualified versus how your heat race went, unless you just fell really bad in the heat race or something like that.
Like Knoxville and Houston, they combine your heat points and qualifying points. So really, like with that big invert, you really only got to pass about 2 cars. You'll still be okay in the points. So you don't have to necessarily drive from 8th to the 1st, but if you do,
right,
you've got the maximum amount of points. Or if you go 8th to 2nd, you got the max amount.
Did you see the interview where Aaron was talking about how he actually used the heat race as like a test? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, he was saying that he qualified quick time, and so he was inverted to 6th. This is the high limit race. This isn't Houston, so he's inverted to 6th, and he says as long as he didn't fall back 7th or anything like that, he knew he could transfer. He just kind of used the heat race as like a practice session to work on his car and get it better. Well, he wound up getting it better and passed a couple cars, and then he was able to go further with whatever it is he was doing for the feature. And he said it actually worked. And he said it fell off toward the end and a little more than he anticipated. But so he essentially used the heat race as like a practice session because qualifying mattered so much, So, moving on, there was some drama in a limited late model at Port Royal. Dirt racing is going Bowman Gray, I guess. Can you pull up? I know they're not gonna be able to see it. I just want us to watch it. How do I word this, Brad? It was a limited late model. He drove backwards on the racetrack at Port Royal this past weekend. Try to look up. Just go to Flow. Again, we can't show this to them.
Go to the YouTube Flow page. It's on the YouTube page.
Go Flow Racing.
So my biggest takeaway there is why. I mean, they pulled Stake off immediately.
Yeah.
Why didn't they let him get a few whacks in?
Hey.
I mean, if somebody runs me over in a daggum car, I'm probably finna lose my mind for
They
a
were
second.
probably shocked because I've never seen anything like that at a dirt track. I've seen it. Literally, the only place I've ever seen it happen was Bowman Gray Stadium. But like we talked about that last week, they're just such a WWE. It's not. I don't want to say not real race. Like the racing can be, but they take it too far. I don't know if they incentivize that behind the scenes or what, because it happens there all the time, and it's not like it's the only short track in the country. So like, why?
It's the only short track in the country that does that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like, is there something to like incentivize it?
Is it the only short track in the country that's packed out every single weekend?
That is
Well,
true.
actually, I did see somebody post about that today. A guy that lives in North Carolina. He races sprint cars too. Sean Mott. He talked about what do they do to do all this, and I put on there. I said the same thing. I was like, well, it's WWE, so that's how they get it. But he also made a good point: is they have rivalries in the modifieds, which is the big class. They have they promote those rivalries, and they've built those up from within. Like your Tim Browns and Jason Myers, the other Myers boy, and Fleming. Like they have these rivalries, and they promote them, and they built them up in that area.
Yeah.
And they've made it a thing. Like Riverside used to be that way back in the 70s and 80s. Like you had rivalries with drivers, and people came to watch that. And that's what we've kind of gotten away from in all dirt track racing, is promoting our stars and building up these rivalries and promoting them, and not just say how outlaws between high limit, but driver to driver. Like we just kind of promote Kyle Larson, and hey, Kyle's coming tonight. Y'all better come.
New media pitch.
But
Kyle's not there.
Bad Brad
All right.
versus Brandon Hanks, Riverside, Friday night
I'm not gonna lie to you.
for the final showdown
I
for
was-
the belt.
I was thinking about this.
The thing is, like, those are like authentic rivalries. They just kind of built
Yep.
themselves, and that's what makes it actually work.
Do you think they just take it so small and then
Bill
escalate
Howard.
it? You know,
Well,
that was one at one time.
I think-
He didn't. I mean, he may not have realized it, or I did. He run over me at Riverside one night for the lead. I was leading a race, coming to the checker, going down the back straightaway, and he
did?
got me. Dale.
oh,
That was like in 2015. Now, going back and watching the video, I left the bottom open way too much. I should have, I come off the bottom and just went to the wall, and I should have just left it low and just, and made him go around me. It was, kind of wide. He should have never been able to get there. That's what I'm saying. It's my fault. I should have never let him get there. But when he got there, he run over me. And I flipped going down the back straightaway. And the next day, he apologized. He's like, "Oh, Ernie run me up into you or whatever." And when I watched the video, I'm like, Ernie was like 3 or 4 car lengths behind you. He was nowhere near you. I didn't say nothing to him, but we had like a quiet rivalry. Like every time I was around him, I'd slide him just dirty. And then he'd do me the same way. I slid him one night at Wheatland ASCS show, and it was in a B main. It was stupid because neither one of us even made the show. But like I slid him, and then he caught my bumper, spun me around, and he still didn't transfer. We were one spot away from the transfer, and then I got him. I think I slid him pretty hard, pretty dirty at Magnolia, like a year or two later. And then honestly, ever since that, I never messed with him again, and he's never messed with me again. And honestly, I'd like talking to him. I run into him and say hey, and so like it's well past.
You're not
this.
selling tickets. We need a rivalry.
Okay, all right. Well, Dale Howard, I guess me and Dale have got to revamp all that. What's the maddest you've ever been? Like, have you ever wanted to do? I mean, I know you're probably not going to go take your car and use it as a weapon, but like, what's the maddest you've ever been?
well, see, that's a good point, because now that I've gotten older, I look back at this stuff and I'm like, I was such an idiot and a horrible example for
Yeah.
anybody coming up. Because I haven't got like, I've got out and like flipped people off, or I've walked over to their car after crashing. And I look back on it now, I'm like, that was such a bad look on my part. Like I would never run into my car on anybody. I didn't do it back then, but I definitely wouldn't do it now. Like I hate seeing those videos get promoted, because you go watch like a Tulsa shootout or a mini sprint race with these kids.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Even at Riverside, I've seen kids get out. Skinner's boys got out one night, and he was walking away from his car, and Mama Skinner got up on the fence and got on his ass and told him to get back over there to your car. You don't walk away from it. Well, they see that because we've done it, or
Yeah.
they see people on TV do it, or they see people get out and act crazy and throw stuff, and I've done that too. I'm guilty of it. I hate seeing it get promoted now, because it just gets passed on to the younger kids, and they just emulate what they've seen us do. And so I try now. I don't get overly upset about anything anyways now, but even when if I've crashed or feel like I've been wrecked, like I just try to and I have gotten crazy lately, and I've like regretted it, because I was like, I hated that I did that.
Yeah.
I felt so stupid after the fact. And so I hate seeing that type of stuff.
Well, you're not
promoted.
the only one. Like it's not like we've all done it. Like every one of us has gotten out of
I
a
haven't
car.
done
You haven't done
I
that?
have not.
Well, what's the
done
maddest you've ever been?
it. Well, I just haven't been driving a race car.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
never done
And the
anything
thing
stupid
is-
in a
the
race
thing
car.
about that guy, what he did is his car was tore up a little bit, and now your car is really tore up.
Yeah.
Like what?
And
it
now you
makes
look like
0
an
sense.
idiot.
Makes 0 sense. Like,
He literally pulled like a NASCAR 2005 turn around and
Yeah, it
just
makes
went
no
and hit
sense.
somebody head on.
yeah,
You know, I've never seen that happen. Not at no dirt race. I remember, I think one of the funniest things I ever watched at Riverside, and I don't remember the names. Like I don't remember who it was. It was early when I started coming. I was watching the stock car class, and the leader and second place wrecked each other coming to the checker, and both of them stopped. Third place wins. And well, one car had kind of broke, and he was down there close to the flag stand, and the other car's over here broke just right before you get to the gate to get on the racetrack. This guy gets out, the one at the flag stand, he gets out calm. He takes his helmet off, sets it in the car, and he just starts walking over to the other car. He's not yelling, he's not pointing, he's not doing anything. He's just calmly walking. And then dude gets out of his car. he says something, kind of flails him arms just a little bit, and that dude never said a word. He just punched the guy right in the face. That dude hit the ground, and then the guy walked. He just walked away.
Mm.
He went over there. He did what he set out to do, and he was done. But we've had some
All over
tussles.
$40.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah, for real. They're racing for nothing. But so I mean, what was the maddest you've ever been though? You never answered that, or did you? What's the
No.
worst one?
I really can't think of one. I remember one night we were in Pike County and I was running second, or I was running third or fourth. But it was some of the national guys were there, like Travis Roulette, Gary Wright was there, Jason Johnson was there, and I was running like fourth. And I was coming up on the lap car, and he didn't have any brakes. I later found out, so he like backs way off, and I'm committed, and I ramp his right rear, and I hit the wall, and it's all up on the wall. I get out, and I'm like flipping him off every time he comes by, acting stupid. And the police officer comes out there, and he's like, "Hey, calm down, calm down." And I'm like, I'm going crazy, flipping him off again. I'm slinging. He's like, "You do that one more time, I'm taking you to jail." I'm like, my bad.
Yeah.
I turned into a little bitch. So
You wouldn't do good in prison.
that
would you?
was funny. That was most mad and most embarrassed I've been. Yeah.
Especially if they found out your nickname was Pretty Boy.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
gonna.
That
They're
kind-
they're gonna love you in prison.
Well,
You just have to send in the picture of you and Larson together, and then
Oh, yeah.
from there.
Yeah, for real.
everybody
Yeah,
would believe it. That's the sad
I
thing.
think there's two times. One was more recent, like a couple years ago. But like, I'd say the worst, like the maddest I've ever been, like to the point where I felt like I went red. Like you know how you get so mad, it's like you can't see.
Mhm.
I think the maddest I ever got was my one of the few chances I ever had to win short track nationals, because that was like my Indy 500, Daytona 500, my Chili Bowl. Like that was my race I wanted to win like really bad, and I started like 11th or 12th, and when we took the green, I knew right away like this car is really good. Like we were fast, and we made it up to 5th pretty quick. And I remember I was fighting Tim Crawley for 5th or 6th, one of the two. And me and Crawley are kind of going back and forth, and then all of a sudden I look to my left and there's this black number 3 coming right at me. And I didn't have time to react or anything. And it was Howard in that 3 car. And car gets over on 2 wheels, and I somehow settled it back down. I'm not gonna say I settled it back down. I got it calmed down, I guess, and kept going. The nose wing got knocked down, and then the car was not the same after that. It was mediocre at best, and I think I finished like 11th. I finished about where I started, and I've never been one that wanted to like wreck the car or anything. Like I'm not. We have to fix it. We have to pay for it, and so like I've always wanted to make sure I took care of my equipment. I've raced like I take care of my equipment. You know, probably too many times. But after that race, man, I was intending on I'll fix this sucker. I'm fixing to tear us both up, because he to me that was one of the few chances I might ever had. At maybe if I'd have caught a caution at the right time, maybe got up there closer to the front, I feel like I had a legitimate chance to compete for it at least. And when I knew that was taken away, I just thought, man, that car's not going back to Marion, Arkansas looking the same. I don't care. And it was bad. Like I'm glad I didn't find him after the race. Like I didn't find him on the racetrack, but I pulled up to his pits right after, and then a big tussle commenced after that. So that was the maddest I think I've ever been. And I had words with Hot and Shield after the Outlaw race earlier this year, but it was not. I wasn't mad. I just kind of told him like, "Hey man, NOS Energy doesn't pay for my car. We pay for my car." And you know, he didn't cut me no slack one time. He did something.
He
Should've
went
done.
further than that. He
Well,
put it on you.
he put me in a really bad spot, and I realized he was lapping me. I was trying to maintain on the bottom, but man, he didn't cut across my nose. He cut down really hard going into one. Like we were side by side, and he just took a left, and it was all I could to not just bulldoze him. My right front did hit the left rear, and I may have climbed him for like a second, but thankfully it didn't get no
Close.
worse. And I basically told him, I'm like, hey, I'm actually a fan of yours. I cheer for you every week. I'm gonna cheer for you next week, but don't you ever do that again, because like I said, I don't have a sponsor to fix my car. You've got a NASCAR Cup driver and NOS that's paying for your stuff. It's a little bit different for me, so I didn't appreciate it. But those are the two times in like recent memory.
I do have one more funny one.
All right, give it to us.
We were doing we had a non-wing USCS race. He would do one every now and again.
Ooh, this has been a while.
10 or so years ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And I started like 6th. I think I was up to 3rd. I was right behind Terry Gray 'cause I was trying to pass him for 2nd. And I just passed Ernie Ainsworth. He was in Shorty's car at the time, I believe. And I passed him. We'd run a couple laps, and we were going down the back straightaway, and like I was kind of letting it arc out a little bit. And then halfway, about going in the corner, I got just hitting it the ass end and spun around. So I get spun around and I get plugged in the left rear, tears up the rear end and stuff. And so I get out of the car, being ignorant again.
Yeah.
And so Ernie's coming around, and I'm flipping him off. Like, what the hell, man? He does this. He goes,
It wasn't him.
Like him.
Wasn't him.
He come back, and I was like, man, that guy, whatever. And I come off track, and my dad was like, Ernie didn't spin you out. It was Wade Oliver.
Oh, I've done that too.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
Wade talked about it afterward. 2 days later, we talked about it. Wade was like, I was out there, and I was like, hey, that was me. I knew that was me.
All right. So, real quick, since you told that story, I'll make you feel a little bit better. That happened to me at short track. Was it the last year? It may have been the last year that they had short track at I-30. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember. That's how important it was. But who drove the orange 61 car at I-30 a lot? What was his name?
61?
Yeah, it was an orange 61 car. Cody something.
Oh, Cody Howard.
Cody Howard. That's it. Okay, so I got wrecked at I-30, got spun around or whatever, and I swore it was that orange car. I remember seeing an orange car, and I blamed him for that darn thing. And I even said something in an interview about it. And I went back and listened to the interview, and Ben Shelton was doing the announcing. He said, Cody's not even in this race, or something like that. And I felt like an idiot. Well, then the next day, I'm at the driver's meeting, and Lance Moss comes over to me and says, hey, that was me. So I've done that too, but Lance's car was like bright yellow and red, and so like at a glance, I just thought I saw orange or whatever, and the only orange car I just knew of was Cody's, and so I had Cody pinned, talking crap about him, and it wasn't even Cody. He wasn't even out there with us. So I feel your pain, but
Another lesson to kids: don't get out and act.
yeah,
ignorant.
don't get out, don't act ignorant. Go make sure you watch a replay.
You'll feel bad about the next day. Trust me.
Yeah, it's usually never worth it. Now, sometimes, yeah, you might ought to put your foot down. You don't want to be like a doormat, but there's a line there. You want to know, you want people to take you seriously. Hey, like, I'm not just going to let you do that to me, but there's also like a line where you can't, it's easy to cross it if you let it. But there is a little love story, though, that happened this past week. Do you know about, I know you know about this. Do you remember? So we've got a little clip where Brad said that he was cheering for Kyle Larson, and we just happened to come across where Larson actually listened to the podcast.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Larson listened to the podcast, and you two made up.
Yeah.
Wasn't that beautiful? It was such a good moment. I'm so happy that you two have made up, and now
It looks scarily close to me.
it really does. I like how the pretty boy's on the belt, but it's over to the side
Yeah.
where you can see it.
Very creepy.
AI, I'm telling you, man. If AI's not lying to us, we've learned that the last couple weeks. AI doesn't lie.
Yeah, I
It tells
found
the
one
truth.
too, and it's gonna put you in a really tough
Is it? Oh man, talk about timing.
I was gonna say,
Oh no.
but I'm still recording, but I'm mentioning battery.
All right,
While you are talking about the racing, like intentionally wrecking people, is that not considered a crime in racing?
No.
Killed him, it would.
I mean, yeah. If
but
you,
I mean,
That's where
like,
it's
if you lost
very
all your
dangerous.
car, it wouldn't even be a crime, or would it, like?
I mean, if you
Would it have to be very blatantly intentional?
it would have to be pretty bad. I mean, yeah. I mean,
oh,
there's
in
been
the
plenty of
moment of a
times.
race, yeah. I mean, I don't think you could prove that he intentionally wrecked him, but like doing what that guy did, like if he was to kill that guy,
Yeah, oh
it'd be a
yeah.
little stupid.
Yeah, well, you just have to use. Kind of be one of the things you just have to use like a little bit of common sense, like just like that guy, like he said just then, like the guy literally turned around on the racetrack, turned around and went and hit that guy head on.
That's what I was talking about. Like,
Yeah.
would that not be like, I know, like,
Are they going to penalize him? Is that what you're asking?
well, I don't penalize, but I'm saying like in
You mean, like-
football, if you go out there and you take off your helmet and you hit someone with your helmet, that can be considered a crime. Is that not? I don't
Racing ain't for no sissies, son.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just asking, like,
It's
We ain't getting the cops
I know
involved.
I know where you're coming from. Well, the cops are usually there. The cops are there, and they're usually the ones breaking it up. But I haven't heard many stories where people actually go to jail, for anything just really, really bad, unless they're pulling out weapons or something.
was the whole incident with Tony Stewart and that one dude that got killed, was that over, like, dude wrecked out, he got mad at Tony Stewart, or
Well,
is there not really a...
Now, now we're getting in the weeds
Yeah,
because
that's a different podcast conversation right
yeah,
there.
that's a little bit
Because I know
different.
it's all on drugs.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's a
We
little
had
bit
weed
different.
system. That could have been, yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not.
Well,
Let's not get into that.
yeah, I don't know if I want to get into that, but I'll tell you this, like I'm sure anybody that's listening to this probably would listen to Chaz too, but Chaz had a really good conversation. He had a really good conversation with Tony Stewart, and Tony actually went in to talk about that. Like he actually went into detail about that whole situation. And so like if you really want to get all the information from that deal, I would just go listen to that because obviously it doesn't get any more firsthand than that. But
But
Well, to wrap it up-
Hold on.
it's kind of hard. I don't know. I don't want to get into the Stewart thing.
I'm wrapping up this conversation to bring it back to what Brad was talking about, being stupid, or Brandon, whoever brought it up. That guy was being stupid. I mean, that's how that whole
Oh,
which one?
situation.
You talking the late model?
Yeah,
I'm talking about the Tony Stewart thing.
Yeah.
He was being. That was one of those moments where
He's being ignorant.
had it happened a little different, he probably would have looked back on it one day and been like, "Man, that was really dumb."
Oh yeah. Oh,
He
there's no question.
He just doesn't get to look back on it now.
Right. Yeah, that I don't know how much that was affecting him, like if he really was on the drugs. Like I don't know how much that
We won't ever
really
know.
yeah, we'll never know, but like just watching the video, man, he jumped right down there in front of us. And what a lot of people don't understand is you cannot just lift in a sprint car. If you lift, the car stops turning. It just quits turning. If you're at any kind of pace, when you jump out of the gas, it'll quit turning. And so you have to have a little bit on throttle time to get the car to actually turn.
My
and
only
a lot-
problem with the whole thing was everybody else is doing 10 miles an hour, and you hear him, whoa, and he comes in the screen way faster than anybody else. I don't think he wanted to hit him. I think he did was like, who the hell are you? Like, back your ass up. He was going to try to gas it up, but the kid was coming down the track. He gassed it up, got the car sideways and way too fast,
Yeah.
and they kind of just met. And I don't think he intentionally did it, but he didn't make a smart move when he saw the kid coming down the track to try to punk him out, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, it didn't help that it was Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
If it had been just about anybody else, I'm gonna say that guy had never done it. But he wanted to
Oh yeah,
use
played
that
a-
moment.
That played a factor too.
He wanted to use that moment as like his spotlight moment. I showed up,
Yep.
Tony Stewart. Yeah.
And it would never made national media either. It just would have been another racetrack incident that
Yeah.
everybody local knew about, and
No,
the racing community would probably know about
the
it.
media
but-
loves death in sprint car racing, so they probably would have showed the hell out of it. They don't ever talk about the good stuff, only when somebody dies.
Are y'all ready to get back to what you were originally talking about? Cameras ready to go.
What are you talking about? Oh, you want to?
We-
What was the AI? We'll show this, and we need to head out.
Oh,
But
how
what was
did-
what was the AI? I guess we could have like a segment each week of like AI? Like, what's the craziest AI story you've heard this week? Because I don't. I guess my phone
Here we
hears
go.
me.
Let's bring some more Bubba Wallace up.
No. I'm not bringing up Bubba Wallace.
I'll
I'm
do
just
it
saying,
this
like,
time.
every
I'll
week.
say it. I'll say it first. I guess I did say it first. Bubba Wallace. Now it's my fault, not your fault.
Yeah.
Quit giving the man attention, dude.
I'm not trying to get Bubba Wallace. It's AI. Just these people come up with some
Indirectly,
AI.
you're giving it to Bubba Wallace.
Well, I'm not trying to, but like they just blow my mind. Like, yeah, Bubba Wallace and Joe Biden are gonna talk about the future of racing. Oh my gosh. What was the one you were gonna show?
I'd say this one puts Brandon in a really difficult position
Let me see it again.
because his king standing over his other king.
Yeah. That doesn't even look like Kyle. That's a fake. That's not Kyle. That's not even Dale. You know, I saw a Dale impersonator that at Martinsville earlier last year, whatever. Actually, legitimately looked like him. But yeah, nah, I don't believe it. But that one of you and Larson though, that was definitely legitimate. That was definitely a good one. But anyway, all right, we'll see you guys next week. We got to get out of here. Wives are hollering at us,
Yeah.
and it's freaking hot. I've been in the heat all day. I'm ready to go home.
About to storm.
And it's about to storm. All right,
Here we
we'll
go.
see y'all. Thank you.